listening age? You want to know my listening age? You want to know my weight in decibels? Don't you know it's rude to ask a woman her listening age? Well, I guess if you have to know, it's 9, because I listened to so much AI-generated stuff this year. Hi, my name is Julie, and this is what I listened to in 2025. I got rid of streaming. No, I didn't get rid of streaming. I used Apple Music and I used Tidal for a brief time. But I got rid of the green one. I got rid of the green guy, and so now I have no way of accessing my recap information from this year in music. And as tempted as I am to re-sign in to my presumably booted to free account and check my stats, I'm not going to. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to give them any more of my time or cash than I already have. So I thought this would be a fun, creative way to let the people know what's been going on in Julie Keefe's ears in the last calendar year. Because I know so many people are wondering, oh my God, Julie, what are you listening to? Stop. Hey, stop it. I'll tell you. Hey, I'll tell you what's going on. If you don't know me, I run or operate or whatever a booking agency. That makes me sound like, no, that's not right. A DIY organization. I don't know what it is. It's called Bad Press. We do monthly house shows. We have a video series out now that we're wrapping up soon. We do shows at other venues around New York. It's a lot of fun. I like it a lot, despite my inability to talk about it in a succinct way. This does not matter at all. It matters. But I didn't come here to be a businesswoman. I didn't come here to talk about my little organization. I came here to talk about music and to give myself some credibility. Not that you need to have credentials to listen to music, obviously. You know what I mean. Anyway, this video is going to be broken into 4 parts. Part 1, albums I listened to all the way through. Part 2, songs I listened to a lot. Songs I listened to on repeat every day for days on end. Part 3, shows I went to this year. There are a lot of them, so strap in. And part 4, other stuff. Comedy shows, podcasts I listen to, stuff that is not music related but is still within the media, live theater, live events world. It's all related, I think. It's all connected at the end of the day, so it'll be fine that it's here. You'll hear it and you'll say, this is related and cool. And maybe there'll even be a secret 5th category of just like, what's going on this year? What was cool about this year? Unrelated to music and live performance. Was anything cool about 2025? There was some cool stuff in 2025. Yeah. Be hopeful, Julie. Be optimistic. Part 1, albums. Maybe I'll figure out how to animate. Do you think I can animate something in 2 days? I don't think I can. The hardest part about this is that I can't check my stats, or rather I'm refusing to check my stats, so I might just fully miss stuff. And I'm gonna try to do my best to be in chronological order with the albums and songs that I listen to, but we'll see. Anyway, the first one of the year is, what's it called? First album on the list because it came out in January. I Can Change Your Mind by Maddie J. I have so much good stuff. I just have so much good stuff to say about this album. I can't even say it. I loved this album so much. I had heard a couple Maddie J songs in the past. She works with this artist I like called Bobbing, who I think helped co-write this album as well. And it's just awesome. I was listening to it when it was cold and I was sad and I was just like reinvigorated with all of this hope. I love how everything flows into each other. It's kind of concept-y, but it's not. I just think that any album that has tracks that roll into each other is a concept album. When people say things change their lives, I don't really actually know what that means, because maybe my life has never been changed, or maybe my life has changed every day in little ways. It feels like it's teetering on life-changing territory, though. I loved this album. Can't say enough good things about it. Next up, Alligator Bites Never Heal by Doechii. I listened to this in February. I think I was late to the party. I think this album came out in August of 2024, and I just didn't listen to it. There's a lot of stuff here, I think, as we go through. It'll be like, oh, you listened to this thing 6 months after it was out. Yeah, I did. And that's sometimes maybe the best way to do it. I don't know, maybe I'm onto something. I listened to this album in February because she won a Grammy in February, and I watched her Grammy speech on the bus and I cried. It was like so moving and so cool, and a beautiful testament to that you can really do anything. Not to cry again, but I have more to say about this record, particularly one song in this record, but we will get to that later on. Much later on. SABLE fABLE by Bon Iver. I remember the anticipation to that album being really exciting because he kept dropping little they're called singles, I guess. He kept dropping little breadcrumbs, and I was following them up and eating them up, and then I couldn't find my way out of the woods, and the only way to get out was to listen to his whole album when it came out. I feel like his whole thing is that he's mysterious, which is cool. Sometimes people are mysterious, and I'm like, you're not really mysterious. But Justin Vernon, I think, is mysterious. I don't know him. I loved this album so much. I still listen to this album a lot, or tracks from this album. I love all the features on it too. A lot of artists I had not heard of or had not really listened to before. Flock of Dimes, never heard of her, but super cool feature on one of the tracks, so I'm excited to listen to her. Okay, up next in July, we had Paper Doll by Quinnie. I love that album so much. She's so awesome. She's from New Jersey. I love New Jersey. I love talking about New Jersey. I love people from New Jersey succeeding. You know, back when I could check my stats, she was always my top artist or top 2 artists of the year for the last maybe 3 or 4 years. I think she's so awesome. It's just a beautiful album. And it was kind of Beatlesy in that you listen to the album through and you have your clear favorites, and then you have these moments where you're like, oh, maybe this song is actually my new favorite. And there's just like a new deep cut to explore on every listen, which I think is really cool. I think that's the marker of a good album. She also has such cool music videos. I feel like I'm very influenced by her aesthetic of music video, kind of like the old school VHS camera and just kind of a woman walking around Los Angeles being beautiful, singing beautiful songs, B-roll of quirky things. I like it. I think she's doing a great job. Sometime in September, I listened to Pinkerton by Weezer. I don't have much to say about it. I just know I did it. It was not a bad album. It was a good album. I think the last track, Butterfly, really got me. The rest of it, I can't remember. What's cool about Pinkerton by Weezer is that in Williamsburg, there's a Pinkerton wine bar, which I didn't know about until after I had heard the album, and I said, whoa, that's a Pinkerton wine bar. And I actually know somebody who works at Pinkerton wine bar. And I was like, that's crazy, because I was just listening to Pinkerton by Weezer, and I don't know that he cared at all. And that's fine. I clearly don't care that much about it either. Also good came out of listening to Pinkerton by Weezer is that I got into Cake again, and I think Cake is so fucking awesome. Cake is like the Beatles. You want to talk about a band that's like the Beatles, Cake is like the Beatles. And ask me about it another time because I can't explain why right now. The last album I have, well actually the second to last album, because I have a huge reveal, not a reveal, because I have a huge thing. I listened through Thom Yorke's album Tomorrow's Modern Boxes. I don't know why. I like Thom Yorke, I like Radiohead. I guess I had never listened to Thom Yorke's solo stuff. And when I had Tidal for the brief time, I thought it'd be really cool if I just was an album guy, if I just became an album person who was like, here's my collection and all of them are full albums. And so I was like, what Thom Yorke don't I know? And it was fine. I don't really remember a single thing about it. But it was cool in the moment. I remember thinking it was cool. It was very Thom Yorke, and I like Thom Yorke, so. But what we've been waiting for is for me to talk about Imaginal Disc by Magdalena Bay. My sister sent me a text. Hang on, I gotta pull it up. On Friday, September 26th, my big sister Audrey Keefe texts me and says, "The prog rock queen, can you listen to the new Magdalena Bay song, ... It's called Second Sleep." I listened to Second Sleep, and I thought it was cool. I was not blown away with it initially. I was not blown away with it. It was like a little maybe dark heavy for me. I don't really know. There was something about it that I didn't love, and I actually haven't returned to that song since having my breakthrough. Now I think if I go back, I might become in love with it, because on October 2nd, mere days after receiving this text from my sister, I texted her and I said, I forgot to tell you, I've been listening to Magdalena Bay like crazy. Over the summer, my sister told me, listen to Magdalena Bay, Imaginal Disc. It's so good. You'll love it. They're so awesome. She's seen them twice in concert already, which is amazing. My nephew has seen them in concert. That was his first concert he's ever gone to. He's 8 years old and his first concert is Magdalena Bay. I have seen them 0 times and I had the chance. They were here in April and I didn't know them in April because I didn't listen to my sister. This is a life lesson. Listen to your elders. Not that she's old. I don't mean that. She's not old. I am obsessed with Magdalena Bay. I've been listening to Imaginal Disc through almost every day since October when I started listening to it. They're so good. Like a whole synthesis of everything that I love about music. Like fun pop, but also like prog, another concept album, but actually concept based, and like has these like fun interludes where she's like talking and it feels like you're getting a tutorial on like how to use the disc that goes in here in the album art, you know, it goes in there. It's like very 80s inspired and very ABBA inspired and very poppy, but also like just like cool, but also not hard to listen to. I love prog, and sometimes prog is so hard to listen to. Sometimes prog takes so long to finally be like, I've chiseled away at the ice block and there's a beautiful swan in here. Well, I guess for a time it was hard for me to listen because I tried listening to them in April, and I think I just wasn't giving my full attention to it. I think I was like on the subway and I was like, sure, I'll listen to this music that my sister wants me to listen to. But the second I did give my full attention to it, world changed. All of their singles are so good. There's a couple that I'm missing. My sister actually told me recently, another text from Julie Keefe. She said, I know this probably won't happen, but you should listen to Human Happens, then Spice Girls Something Kind of Funny Going On, and then Human Happens again. 15 minutes of your day. She did send this to me on Monday, and I still haven't done it yet, and it's Wednesday. But that's not a bad turnaround. I can still listen to it right after I'm done recording this. And maybe Julie from the future can beam in and tell you. Julie from the future here again, except I think this is actually going to go earlier in the video than I have already intercepted myself. I still haven't done this. I still haven't listened to these songs in this order, and I will soon, and I'll get back to you on that. Part 2. Songs. Okay, so I know we're only on part 2 of the outline, but I am throwing chronology out the window. There's no way. I can't necessarily remember when I was listening to all of these songs. I can just tell you that I was listening to them a lot. So here we go. No particular order and kind of just rapid fire. We have, and I'll try to put them on the screen if I can figure out how to do it. I feel like I should know. I'm old enough. I Do It For Your Love by Paul Simon. Listen to this a ton in the winter. I know that. This was early in the year. California Sober by Victoria Canal. I forgot about this song until yesterday, and it's so fun. It's such a fun song. I've listened to that a lot, I think in like February as well. Eyes by Autumn Jones. I met Autumn at a networking event, and I loved that song, and I kept listening to it a bunch, so go Autumn. Julie from the future here. Autumn Jones is also from New Jersey, and New Jersey comes up a lot in here, as you'll start hearing. I'm sure you've already heard it at this point. I can't remember how I edited this, but it just feels important to mention that New Jersey is everywhere, and I would hate to neglect to mention that someone's from New Jersey if they deserve it. Thanks. Nice to Each Other by Olivia Dean. Yeah, I got sucked into the Olivia Dean hype, and it's worth it. She's awesome. Ooh, here's one, a fun one. Yougotmefeeling by Parcels. I like Parcels because they've really committed to doing all of the words as one word. What's their other one? Tied Up Right Now. Classic. But this was a super fun song that I listened to a lot this summer. Another song I forgot about until the other day, Omaha by Lynn Scharbaugh. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. That's a really fun song. Contradictions by Marcum, another indie artist, super cool. I really liked this song this year. She put out a bunch of songs, I think, but I listened to Contradictions a ton for like a 2-day period. Longdays by Sockeye, beautiful band. This song in particular I think was really great. Came out earlier this year. I listened to this a lot on the train. I remember when it came out and I was like, ooh, I'm gonna listen to it. I was on the N train. Door by Caroline Polachek. I don't really know any of her songs aside from that and So How You're Hurting My Feelings, which is such a fun song. I like that this song is kind of like the buffalo of songs. The will. You know, the thing, the grammatical, the punctuation thing, like James, while John had a better effect on the teacher. You know what I'm talking about? Well, anyway, in the song, she just says, you open a door to another door, 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 and I'm running through. So kind of exercise in punctuation. Very good song. Angels Cry by Skofee. I loved this song. This came out, I think, in October. I listened to this song a lot. It was very fun. I love the like big chorus vocals in the chorus. And when I say chorus vocals in the chorus, I mean like choir. I mean choir vocals in the chorus. Any of the Magdalena Bay singles that I've heard, but I think Top Dog took over my brain for quite a while. Another song that I'm years late to. Possum by Dogwood Gap. I think an oldie, but a goodie by another local band, Dogwood Gap, but more on them later. Italia Breeze by John Bellion. I loved listening to this song in the summer, and we actually saw him this summer, but more on that later. There's gonna be a lot of more on that later. Planting Flowers by Speak Friend. If you are watching this video right now, you can go pause it and listen to Planting Flowers by Speak Friend and then come back and tell me what you think. That's how much I want you to go listen to this song. I love this song. I love this EP that they dropped. Just like some of the best music I've ever heard in my life. go listen to that song. Go listen to the whole EP. But if you're crunched for time, at least go listen to Planting Flowers. Vampire Empire by Big Thief, became obsessed with this song in the summer, and therefore kind of also started going more into the Adrianne Lenker rabbit hole than I'd ever gone before. A couple students of mine a while ago both recommended Velvet Ring to me, and I loved that song. I never really listened to Big Thief after that, but I love Vampire Empire. My friend Jen did a cover of it at a show, and that's how I heard it for the first time. And then from there, we get to Anything by Adrianne Lenker, another great song that I love by her. I think I'm scared to listen to her because she'll have too profound of an impact on me. Music for a Sushi Restaurant by Harry Styles. This is a song that snuck up on me. I listened to Music for a Sushi Restaurant a lot of times. There was one day when I was going to see a play with my friend Carmine, who was so generous and had an extra ticket to a play and had off because he's a teacher and it was the summer, and he was like, I just need someone to go with me. And I thought that I left the stove on, and I was panicking about how maybe I'd left the stove on. I obviously never leave the stove on. I never leave the stove on. But this day I was very nervous about having left the stove on. I texted my roommate about it, and then I think I worried her about leaving the stove on, and the entire subway up to the show I was like in tears. I was so upset because I was like, the stove is on and I can't do anything about it, and I just had Music for a Sushi Restaurant on loop the entire time. It gave me comfort. It gave me comfort in that moment. Thank you, Harry Styles, for that. Also, the lyric, green eyes, fried rice, I could cook an egg on you. I did a double take. I was like, there's no way this guy's talking about rice. But we'll get to rice in a little bit. Beautiful Strangers by Kevin Morby. I liked this song a lot. I don't know that I've heard any of his other music, but it's like a 7-minute long song, and it's kind of Bob Dylan-y. It's very Bob Dylan-y, actually, but I liked it. Listened to that a lot on the train this year. Time Crunch by Jake's Big Day. I love this song. He put out a 3-track EP, I think over the summer or maybe in the fall, but I listened to this song. I think it's the opening track on the record. I listened to it a bunch of times. I love this song. Another New Jersey guy. New Jersey is awesome, believe it or not. And now I have 2 by one more artist. This is a kind of a travesty that happened to me, is that the other day I was on New Jersey Transit and a Geese song got recommended to me. A song called Cowboy Nudes by Geese came on my Apple Music, and I was like, I've been hearing a lot about Geese, and I was about to skip it to listen to something else that I wanted to listen to, and I was like, no, I should give them a try. And that's when life changed for me. I've been listening to that song and I See Myself by Geese nonstop since Thanksgiving. We're not that far after Thanksgiving, but it's kind of taken over my whole life, those 2 songs. But they're from 2023, so like, what could they have possibly done more now? And also, isn't Cameron Winter like 19 years old, or am I making that up? I have a couple special shout out songs. I have some songs that have been stuck in my head that are not released on streaming or on Bandcamp or on CD. I don't want streaming to be the only thing that we like think about when we think about consuming music. Money, Love, Etc. by Christopher Wolf. I love this song. I think my mom would love this song. Christopher, put it out. Put it on a CD so I can give it to my mom, please. Miscellaneous by Lily Gitlitz. Lily Gitlitz has some songs out online that you can listen to. This song is not out yet, but I love it and I get stuck in my head all the time and I sing it around my house all the time. Holy Water by Jay Lucida. Ugh. I heard that song and I was like, oh, he's doing a cover. And he's not doing a cover. He's just a freaking great writer. Part 3. Shows I've seen this year. By the time you're watching this, I will have seen 71 shows this year. 71 shows is a lot of shows. And you honestly probably could count even more shows because I've definitely had to work some through my various jobs that I might not have been paying my full attention to because I was like tidying the green room or snarfing down a grilled cheese before the band got off the stage. Most of them are local concerts. There were 3 that were bigger concerts, which I'll get to. 2 musical theater showcases, 1 NYU student thesis show, and probably some other ones. I saw 3 big shows this year, and by big I mean like touring artists. First one was Maddie J. I saw Maddie J perform I Can Change Your Mind live all the way through, which was so awesome. She had tracks, but she also had a live band. She did all these like visual elements and stuff. She screamed at the top of her lungs, and I was like, oh, I want to do that so bad one day. So that's really aspirational for me. Also, something about Maddie J I want to shout out is that she always puts Instagram stories up where there's like a cool whiteboard in the background, and it inspired me, and now I have a cool whiteboard to keep track of all my projects. So Over the summer, I went to Forest Hill Stadium with my boyfriend Sam, and we saw John Bellion, who I had never even heard of before. He, I guess, like does a lot of production work for other artists, and he works with Lawrence the Band a lot, which is a band I used to listen to a lot when I was like in college. John Bellion I was not sure of at first. He came out and he was in a tracksuit and he was wearing those thin band sunglasses, and he was like rapping about a car, and all these people were like, yeah, it was like a big giant stadium. So he filled this stadium for 2 nights in a row, and I wasn't really sure if I was gonna like it, but then by the end I was like almost crying and so proud to be an Italian American woman. Like, really. He talked a lot about being from Long Island and how he spent his whole life trying to get off the island, but now he wants to stay back there, and like, I don't know, like having a tough relationship with his dad. I was like, wow, this is awesome. And then midway through the concert, he actually like live orchestrated his band. So he had them set up like orchestra style, like in an arc, and he did a bunch of live arranging with brass and strings and keyboard, and it was like, that was actually super cool. I was totally won over by the end. And then in October, I saw Quinnie, and she performed so many songs from Paper Doll. What a great year for albums, and then having the albums get performed live. Well, Quinnie didn't perform the album all the way through, which is actually awesome. I love that she did some of her older songs. She did Gold Star, which is the first song I ever heard of hers, and she said, this song was written in New Jersey. And I went wild. I love New Jersey. God, I just love New Jersey. What else do we have on our list? And now we get into our local bands. I'm gonna check and make sure we're still recording though, because I've been burned before. I just had a big fight with my phone. Oh my God, we're still recording. This is so awesome. Now onto our local artists. This is where my Google Calendar really came in handy. I went back and I painstakingly combed through every show I went to in the calendar, and I have developed not a ranking system in terms of like who's good and who's not, but by who I've seen the most. We have 5. You'll see. So here we go. Here are all the local artists I've seen and how many times I've seen them in 2025. In the southwest corner, weighing in at 400 and maybe 500, 450 pounds of musicianship. It's with 6 times on the counter. It's Dogwood Gap. Woo-hoo. I've seen Dogwood Gap 6 times this year, and they're great. I guess that's why I've seen them 6 times. I've met them at a show that I put on in January. I put on a house show, which is actually crazy. I've only known them for a year, less than a year, and we're buddies now. I started recording my own EP at Pat's studio, which is really cool. I was in one of their music videos. So if you want to go check that out, you can. I like them a lot. I like their music a lot. I think they're a math rock band who's maybe in denial about it, maybe coming around to being a math rock band. I'll let you, dear viewer, be the judge of that. Clocking in at, oh God. Next up, clocking in at 5 shows each for the number 2 spot, we have a 2-way tie between Lily Gitlitz and Danny Ritz. Woo. Lily Gitlitz, Danny Ritz. I could not have planned that any better. 2 letter Z last names competing for the coveted 2nd spot. There's no way I could have planned that. I love Lily Gitlitz and I love Danny Ritz. I think they're great people. I think they're great musicians. If either one of them asked me to jump off a bridge, I would do it. And I don't want them to tell me to do it, because I would do it. And I know you're thinking that's crazy. You would do it too. You would do it too if you know them. They're just like sweet and great, and I love seeing them live. They're some of my best favorite. They're just awesome. Such a treat to see them live every time they play. What was I doing? Clocking in at 4 shows each this year for the number 3 spot. We have the rest of Revelator Records, Sockeye and Simple Sun. Woo! Sockeye and Simple Sun are 2 other bands that are with Dogwood Gap under the umbrella of Revelator Records, which is a record company or a record label, whatever it's called, that Patrick Murray, who is the front person of Dogwood Gap, started. So it makes sense that I've seen them almost the same amount of times as I've seen Dogwood Gap. And I would apologize for having seen one of these bands more than the other 2, but I don't have to apologize because both of the front people of Simple Sun and Sockeye are also in Dogwood Gap. So they've got kind of a whole big happy family situation going on over there. Okay, clocking in at 3 shows each this year, we have Momo Chapin and Griffin Energy Turtle. And as I say these names, I understand every meme about indie band names. Griffin Energy Turtle and Momo Chapin. I love them. I really like some of my favorite performances to see. Super high energy, but in very different ways. They're both very musically different from one another, but I really like them, I would say, equally, I think. I guess that just speaks to my range. Yeah, whatever. I listen to music across a broad spectrum of genres, whatever. I have to stop. And finally, clocking in at 2 shows each a year in chronological order because I did consult my calendar and I have chronological ability for this one. We have Lily 2, Her a Hero, Peter Stone, Christopher Wolfe, Arthur Walsh, Tamia, Sarita, Kaya Nicole, Jay Lucida, King Fear, and Arden Lloyd. Woo! There's also so many other artists that I've only seen once this year, and I will put a bulleted list I will put a list in the I'll put a list in the thing, in the description, should you be curious about who else I've seen this year. All great artists. I feel actually super lucky when I think about it to be surrounded by people who make such good music all the time. There are some days when I'm just like, oh, I have to go see music at my job. I don't want to do music. I don't want to talk about music. There's so much more to life. But it's awesome. It's awesome and it's enriching and it's just really, I am lucky. Part 4. Other things. In addition to my robust life in music, I also do a lot of other stuff. I do improv, I see comedy, I see theater stuff because a lot of my friends are involved in musical theater. And so I've seen a lot of shows this year that are not necessarily music related. I myself performed a bunch of shows with my team Pallbearers. I'm actually going to ask right now my teammates if anybody knows off the dome how many shows that we did. I can't afford to have to go through my Google Calendar again. Where is everyone? Where is it? Does anyone know off the dome how many shows we performed this year? Oh, this is awful. I'm asking this question when there's a very important personal conversation going on. Oh well. I went to see a show called Stamp Town 3 times this year at the Bell House. That was a super fun show. Crazy show. Like really, really, really crazy show, but super fun, super funny. Weirdly inspiring. I leave and I think, oh, I can do anything. I'm not always into variety shows just because it can be so like ping-pongy, but I think Stamp Town is awesome. It's really fun. It's really well done. I'll try to include a video or a picture of my friend Carmine up here, who went with me. Same friend who who I saw Glengarry Glen Ross with. Which, by the way, Glengarry Glen Ross, Jesus Christ. Glengarry Glen Ross was fine. I love Kieran Culkin and I love Bob Odenkirk, and I maybe don't understand real estate. It was funny, but it wasn't like, I don't know, it wasn't amazing. At least 14. We've done at least 14 shows this calendar year. Okay, so my improv team did 14 shows this calendar year, including an improvised bachelor party for Will, who actually in real life did get married the following week, which was very beautiful and awesome. Oh, I also saw Ben Schwartz a bunch of times. I have seen him at least 5 times, but I don't know if all of them are within this calendar year. That would be crazy if they all were. Oh, podcasts. Of course we have to talk about podcasts, because podcasts are something that I hold very near and dear to my heart. I have a podcast that I'm actually going to kill off and replace with a new one pretty soon. It's not dying, it's going through a metamorphosis. It's going to go into a cocoon and rest for a while and emerge as a beautiful butterfly, if all goes well. I have listened to basically 4 podcasts this year. They're the same podcasts I listen to every year, plus a new one actually. And I said I was going to talk about rice, so I guess now is a good time to do it. The Headgum Podcast is a podcast that I've been listening to since it aired in 2020. It is one of my favorite podcasts that exists. Another Stamp Town-esque kind of crazy show where it's definitely not like as off the rails, but it's kind of like a what are you doing? What are you talking about? Sort of show. The first time I heard Denial as a River by Doechii was in the form of a parody song on the Headgum Podcast. The first time I heard Hot to Go by Chapel Roan was in the form of a parody song on the Headgum Podcast. The Headgum Podcast is just kind of doing parody songs left and right, and the reason why this is about rice is because all of the songs are about rice. And that's all I can say about that. Another podcast that I listen to that I also support on Patreon. I support the Headgum Podcast on Patreon, and I support this next podcast on Patreon too. Very well worth the money, in my opinion. Very funny people doing good things. Perfect person. This is a podcast that I started listening to maybe a year ago, and if you've ever met me in real life and been like, hey Julie, what's your dream job? I've probably told you, there's this guy named Miles Bonsignore. He lives in Los Angeles, California with his wife and his 2 children, and he used to be employed by a big media company, and now he is self-employed and he's killing it. That's what I want to do with my life. I want to be killing it with my own media company or my own endeavors and still be able to have a family and like a robust group of friends. I admire so many people in this life, but I think that as a dream job goal trajectory, that guy is doing exactly what I want to be doing. And the podcast is super funny. They go on tours. I've seen them live. Actually, that's another live show I saw this year. I think I saw the Perfect Person live show in New York at Irving Plaza, and then last year I saw another one. Yeah. So I've seen that show twice live. Super awesome show. Super awesome podcast. Go find it on Patreon. It's really, really worthwhile. Another podcast that I have loved since I was 17 years old and has now died this year is a podcast called Segments, formerly If I Were You, hosted by Jake and Amir. I remember my friend Scott telling me about it when we were in high school, and I remember listening to the first episode and thinking it was so awesome. I was a huge Jake and Amir fan, still am, but this was a podcast that I have listened to for years and years and years. I was with them through the transition of their podcast, and now their podcast is dead. Much like mine will soon be dead, but mine will be coming back as a new thing. I definitely don't have the longevity to be like killing off a podcast in any sort of ceremonious way, but be on the lookout. It'll come back. It was actually sad when Segments ended. I wasn't expecting to be sad, and then I was like, oh no, I've listened to this for 12 or 13 years of my life, and now it's gone. These things happen. The last podcast I've listened to this year is a podcast called the Liz Moody Podcast. It's kind of like self-helpy. I don't love it all the time. I'm listening to it sometimes. She has like half-hour episodes that'll be like 3 steps to hacking happiness, and I'll listen to those when I'm like doing laundry. Just like stuff like quick. She has quick episodes, and then she has long episodes that are usually interviews with experts, which are probably super interesting and helpful. Some of it sometimes is a little bit like not pseudoscience. I don't want to. Sometimes she goes into territory that seems like it could be a little bit like, if you're just happy all the time, your life will change. If you just express gratitude all the time, you'll like be healthier overall. And that's probably true. That's probably true, and that's why I'm like, I don't really understand. Okay, did we do it? I think we did it. I guess I could do my part 5. Part 5 is just like stuff I've been into this year. I don't know, I've been eating this yogurt, this Icelandic yogurt called Skyr. I feel like it's a utility treat, a utility snack. I need more protein and probiotics. I traded a Chromebook for a haircut that I'm getting tomorrow morning, actually, so that's pretty awesome. Bartering is really awesome. We should do more of that. Moving away from currency, but then bartering becomes currency, so it's kind of a whole thing. Yesterday I was on the phone with a friend, and he was like, yo, I figured out this hack to streaming where I just buy a bunch of movies and then I give my password to my friends and then they can watch movies. And I was like, that's not a hack, that's like being so generous. Which we should all do, we could all be generous. When I have streaming services, I will share my password. If you've made it this far, I don't really know how long this is gonna be. This is gonna be an ambitious undertaking for myself, and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna see you on the other side. It's gonna be great. Hopefully this is only 4 minutes long, so you don't have to spend a ton of your time here. But if you did spend your time here, I thank you. And I am very excited to see what comes out of the next year. 2026, it's right around the corner. Thanks for watching. I hope this was bearable. No, be nice to yourself. Thank you for watching. Hopefully I'll see you again in the future. Hopefully this is the first of many. Bye.